This is a pattern called Smoke that I'm doing on a little charity quilt that I've put together. The fabric is interesting. It's kind of a cross between a flannel and a fleece. So it was a little difficult to work with, and I'm kind of watching it as it quilts through because it's doing a few wrinkly things, as you can see. The sashing is done with flat cotton, which I prefer to flannel sashing because flannel sashing tends to stretch a bit, and this already has a lot of stretch to it. Chose this design because it's really close and it'll work really well by covering all the areas. Inverting and reversing every other row also helps, and that way you're not getting the same design on the left side and the right side of every row. You're varying it between each row. It alternates. So what I've done now, I'm going to choose this as the first stitch of the last row so the machine knows where to move for the next row. So I positioned it on the first stitch of the last row. It's done its calculations, and now it's going to move to the first stitch of the next row. If any adjustment has to be done with the length, I will do it on the last row because it's minimal at this point. I've allowed 2 inches as opposed to 3/4 of an inch on the top. 2 inches at the bottom gives you that much extra flexibility because you don't want your design running off the quilt and into the batting. I always check and make sure that the foot is on securely because I have had it fall off in the middle, which is not a good plan. And I always hold it for the first couple of stitches to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere that's going to surprise me. At one point we used a concave or convex, I can't remember which of it, foot to do quilts that had some applique on them, but we had an issue with skipping stitches, so we've gone back to using the number 9 foot, which is the one that comes with the machine, and it works pretty much in every situation. Once in a while we'll have a little bit of an applique issue where we have to slow the machine down, but we find that slowing it down solves all those issues with it catching. I was worried about it was going to catch under the applique, but this seems to be working really well. Once again, polysheen thread, top and bottom, Metler Polysheen 1912. I'm using a red thread because, as you can see, the backing is a red plaid, and I thought that would be the least offensive on the back. Nice tight quilt design because these charity quilts go to maybe somebody who doesn't know how to take care of a quilt. So we're just going to make sure that the quilt is pretty strong and it is not going to fall apart under a few washings. And of course, as always, I leave a couple of inches on the tail and bury that into the layers between the batting and the backing. Just in case in washing that if you're just trying to cut it off, it might start to unravel slightly.